Welcome to Stoic's own journey into the heart of Stoicism, where today we are exploring a path less traveled, a path that challenges norms and invites us to reflect. Think about the core of your being. But before delving into the ancient wisdom, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself exposed, vulnerable, or even remorseful after sharing too much about your personal life, wishes, and dreams? Have you had your dreams or difficulties yet? If that strikes a chord, you're not alone. In our world of oversharing and constant connection, the ancient Stoics offer a beacon of wisdom that exemplifies the power of restraint and the virtue of silence. Today, we'll explore Never Discuss These 11 Subjects and Be Like a Recovery, a guide to navigating life with grace, resilience, and unshakable inner peace. These 11 topics are more than just topics of conversation. They are a gateway to understanding the profound practice of Stoicism in our daily lives. By exploring why the Stoics advise us to be careful in these areas, we will unlock deeper levels of mindfulness, self-control, and personal freedom. So, if you're ready to change your approach to life and cultivate a Stoic mindset, follow along as we embark on this enlightening journey together. Let us delve into the wisdom of the ages and explore how the lessons of the past can illuminate our path today. Principle number 1. Don't talk about your achievements. As we navigate the complexities of life, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, let us reflect on a simple and profoundly profound principle: silence in the face of achievements. This principle, deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, urges us to tread a path of humility and self-reflection, realizing that the true value of our actions lies not in the recognition of others. The difference lies in the virtues and purposes behind them. In the bustling forums of ancient Rome, Stoics such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius advocated a life in accordance with nature and reason. They teach that the pursuit of external recognition, including praise for our achievements, is a distraction from the pursuit of virtue. Virtue, according to Stoicism, is the only good, the only possession that can truly enrich our lives. It is self-sufficient, requiring no external endorsement to validate its value. So why should we abstain from discussing our achievements? The answer lies at the heart of Stoicism, building an inner citadel, regardless of the fluctuations of fortune and public opinion. When we talk about our successes, we often want not only to announce, but also to impress, evoke admiration, or assert our superiority. Such desires stem from a dependence on external validation, a craving for the ephemeral and random. They distract us from the pursuit of self-improvement and the cultivation of virtue, which Stoicism sees as the only true path to contentment and peace. Furthermore, constantly discussing our achievements can foster feelings of pride and selfishness. Pride, a vice in the Stoic worldview, blinds us to our own shortcomings, as well as the contributions of others. It isolates us and separates us from the community and the common good. On the contrary, humility, a virtue extolled by the Stoics, opens us up to growth and learning. It reminds us that we are only part of a larger whole, dependent on and indebted to others for our successes. Humility teaches us gratitude and compassion, virtues that enrich our lives and those around us. Stoicism also teaches us to focus on the present, on the task at hand, instead of dwelling on past achievements or future ambitions. The past is beyond our control, immutable and indifferent to our pride. The future is uncertain and depends on the arrangements of fate. Therefore, what matters is not the awards we have won, but the choices we make here and now, the effort we put in to live ethically and with integrity. Every moment is an opportunity to act rightly, to choose virtue over vice, to act over laziness. When we practice silence about our accomplishments, we also practice resilience. The Stoic is unaffected by the twin streams of success and failure, for both are outside ourselves and beyond our complete control. By separating our sense of self-worth from our achievements, we protect ourselves from the despair of failure and the vanity of success. We learn to find satisfaction in effort, in the pursuit of virtue, rather than in results. Therefore, let us embrace this Stoic principle with open hearts. Let us find joy not in the praise and applause of our friends, but in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that we have lived in accordance with our values. Principle number 2. Don't talk about challenges not being overcome. You see, in life, it's normal to face obstacles, bumps in the road, or even mountains that seem too high, and you may feel the same. But this is where Stoicism comes in, offering us a light in the darkness, guiding us through these challenges with a sense of calm and resilience. First and foremost, Stoicism tells us to focus on the here and now and what we can control. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves worrying about things that are out of our hands? Stoicism gently reminds us to turn our attention back to what we can change or influence. So when you're faced with a challenge that you haven't overcome, ask yourself, what part of this situation can I control? It could be your effort, your attitude, or how you prepare for the next step. But here's the thing. Stoicism also teaches us about the power of perception. It suggests that the problem is not the challenges themselves, but how we perceive them. Imagine looking at your challenge through a different lens, seeing it as an opportunity to grow, learn something new about yourself, or strengthen your resolve. How great is that power? Now I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself going on and on about a problem without actually getting closer to a solution? Stoicism pushes us toward constructive silence. This doesn't mean ignoring your problem. Instead, it is about taking a step back, reflecting inwardly, and finding a way forward in silence and contemplation. Sometimes the best answers come to us in these quiet moments. Let's also think about the impact our words have on others. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of how our discussions about unresolved challenges may affect those around us. By choosing our words wisely, we can be a source of positive energy and strength, not only for ourselves, but also for our communities. So I invite you to reflect on the challenge you are facing. How can you apply these Stoic principles to approach it from a new perspective? Remember, it's not about never facing challenges. It's about changing the way we interact with them. Principle number 3. Don't talk about your good deeds. Imagine walking through the serene hallways of a nursing home, where every corner whispers stories of life's profound journeys. Here, amid the quiet strength of those who have seen the breadth of human experience, we find a lesson that resonates with the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, the silent virtue of good works invisible. At the heart of Stoicism, there is a strong belief that true virtue does not call for attention. It exists quietly in the soul, flourishing in the silence of our actions, not in the applause we can receive. But what does this mean for us today? In a world where every act of kindness can be broadcast to thousands with just the click of a mouse. Let's take a moment and imagine Mrs. Johnson, a resident here who waters the little plant on her windowsill every morning. To the outside world, this act may seem insignificant, but it is her silent testament to the lasting power of care and compassion. Stoicism teaches us that it is these unspoken acts of kindness that contain the true essence of virtue. Now, I invite you to reflect. When was the last time you performed a good deed in secret without expecting recognition? What a fascinating question, isn't it? Stoics would argue that these are the moments when our character shines brightest, away from the public eye. So why should we apply this Stoic principle of not talking about our good deeds? Because in doing so, we cultivate a true sense of humility. We learn to appreciate the intrinsic value of kindness and the peace that comes from knowing that we have acted not out of praise but out of kindness. Imagine if starting today, each of us chose one act of kindness to perform in secret. Think of the ripple effect it can create, an invisible wave of virtue spreading throughout our communities. How would that change the way you view your own actions? How will it change our community? As we walk the path of Stoicism, let us carry with us the stories of people like Mrs. Johnson, Marcus Aurelius, and countless others who lived lives of quiet virtue. Let these stories inspire us to act kindly, not for the world to see, but for the peace it brings to our hearts. In the spirit of Stoicism, I challenge you. Let your next act of kindness be a secret between you and the universe. It's a small step toward a virtuous life, a life where our actions speak volumes even when we don't. And as you go about your day, remember that the deepest impacts are often the invisible ones, felt in the hearts of those we touch without having to say a word. Principle number 4. Don't talk about your resentment. As we wade through the turbulent waters of life, armed with the wisdom of Stoicism, we approach the brink of profound understanding, especially as we contemplate nature. Of resentment. Stoicism, a philosophy that has withstood the test of centuries, offers us a beacon of clarity in our often murky emotional waters. As a Stoic philosopher addressing America's vibrant and diverse landscape, I'm honored to share insights consistent with the timeless principles of Stoicism, especially about feelings of resentment. At its core, resentment is a reflection of the chaos within us, a storm that rages inside when we perceive ourselves to be wronged by others or life circumstances. It is a heavy chain forged from the steel of our grievances, a burden that we often unwittingly carry on our life's journey. However, Stoicism teaches us the art of forging the key to this lock, not through external expression, but through inner reflection and transformation. Ancient Stoic philosophers such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius understood the futility of wallowing in resentment. They advise that our power lies not in the external world, which we cannot control, but in our own minds, in our perceptions, judgments, and reactions. Men are disturbed not by things, but by their opinions of them, Epictetus wisely declared. So when we talk about our resentments, we give them strength. We water the seeds of discord within us and let them grow into thorny vines that wrap around our hearts. But why should we refrain from discussing our grievances, you may ask? The answer lies in the nature of Stoic philosophy. To discuss resentment is to externalize it, to make it real and tangible, to give it a life of its own. However, in doing so, we stray from the moral and intellectual path, for Stoicism teaches us to look inward, question our perceptions, and challenge the validity of our objections. Our jar. It is not the actions of others that harm us, but our reactions to them. By choosing not to express our resentment, we choose to control our emotions, examine them with the light of reason, and dispel them with the warmth of understanding and forgiveness. Furthermore, Stoicism calls us to consider the transitory nature of life, the fleeting moments that make up our existence. To spend these precious moments in the darkness of resentment is to waste the bright gift of life. Instead, we are encouraged to focus on what is within our power to change. our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This doesn't mean we ignore the wrongs that happen to us or the pain we feel. Rather, it means we acknowledge them, learn from them, and then let them go, turning our grievances into lessons in growth and resilience. In America's vast and bustling society, where the cacophony of voices and the clamor of opinions can overwhelm the soul, the Stoic practice was to turn away from discussion. Discussing grievances can be considered a haven of peace. It allows us to interact with the world not as victims of circumstances, but as architects of inner peace. It fosters a culture of understanding, compassion, and mutual respect, where dialogue is not a battlefield for resolving grievances, but a bridge to greater understanding and harmony. So, my fellow travelers on this life's journey, let us embrace the wisdom of Stoicism in curbing our resentment. Let us cultivate the fertile soil of our souls with thoughts and actions that enhance, not degrade, our spirit. Principle number 5. Don't talk about your deepest dream. Okay, let's imagine we're gathered in a cozy, sunlit room where every chair has a story and the walls are witnesses to countless chapters of life. Here, in the shared space, we are not just residents or visitors. We are people who seek and share wisdom. Today, we delve into philosophy as old as the ancient Greeks, but as timeless as the sunrise outside the window, Stoicism. Stoicism, my friends, is not about suppressing emotions or enduring pain without complaint. No, it's about recognizing what is truly within our control and finding peace and resilience in that understanding. There is one particular aspect of Stoicism that I want to share with you today, one that resonates deeply with the journeys we all take. The wisdom of not talking about my deepest dream. You see, in Stoicism, there is a great emphasis on focusing our energy only on what we can control. Our dreams, vivid and deeply personal, represent our highest aspirations. They are a silent source of fuel for our souls, guiding us forward, step by step, through the ups and downs of life. But here's the thing. While dreams motivate us, Stoicism teaches us the power of guarding them closely, nurturing them in the stillness of our hearts. Now you may wonder why we keep such an important part of ourselves private. Well, think of your dream as a fragile seed. By discussing it openly, before it has a chance to sink deep within us, we risk exposing it to the elements, doubt, criticism, even presentism. Real is well-intentioned, but sometimes discourages others. Stoicism suggests that by keeping our dreams close, we protect them, allowing them to germinate in the fertile soil of our soul, untouched by outside storms. But there's more to it than that. When we're not talking about our deepest dreams, we're also practicing a Stoic principle, the dichotomy of control. It's about understanding that some things are up to us and many things are not. Our actions, our efforts, our attitudes, those things are in our kingdom. However, the results are often beyond it. By focusing on the work, rather than whispering about our end goal, we embody the Stoic ideal of focusing on the process, not just the reward. This brings us to a powerful virtue of Stoicism, prudence. When we choose when to share and when to stay silent, we use judgment and wisdom. There is certainly a time for sharing, but there is also profound power in solitude, in quiet dedication to our cause. This is not about isolation, but about intentional privacy, about choosing the sacredness of our inner world as the place to nurture our first dreams. And don't forget the joy of surprising those around you. There's something incredibly satisfying about revealing a dream come true, a goal achieved, without the need for an opening announcement. It's the Stoic way of letting our actions, rather than our words, speak volumes. Principle number 6. Don't talk about your next steps. In the quiet corridors of the mind, where the echoes of Stoic thoughts gently touch the walls of our understanding, there is a profound advice that seems to whisper directly to the soul. Don't talk about your next steps. Now, you may wonder why such advice carries any weight, especially in a culture that values sharing ambitions and future plans. Imagine, if you will, a peaceful morning in a nursing home, where the sun shines a warm, golden light through the windows, touching the faces of those who have lived through decades of dreams, trials, and tribulations. A quiet moment for reflection. Here, in this place of accumulated years and wisdom, the teachings of Stoicism have found a resounding home. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches the value of inner peace achieved through understanding and working with the natural order of things, offers us a guiding light. It tells us quite simply not to talk about the next steps. But what does this really mean, and how can it enrich our lives? Let us explore together, drawing on the simple yet profound nature of Stoic wisdom. Have you ever noticed how talking about plans often feels like a release, a way to share your excitement and fears with the world? Yet there is a subtle power, often overlooked in silence, in holding those seeds of the future in your heart. But you may ask, how can we practice this in everyday life? It begins with a simple but powerful decision: to cherish our plans, to nurture them in the quiet space of our mind until they are strong enough to withstand the winds of doubt and criticism. Quote, "Now, dear friends, I turn to you. Have you ever held on tight to a dream and chosen not to reveal it until it was fully formed? Reflect on the strength it has given you, the clarity and focus that emerges from that private and inner space. As we walk through life, let's take a moment to consider the wisdom of not discussing our next steps. Like the residents of this nursing home, who carry within them a rich tapestry of silent dreams and quietly conquered challenges, we too can embody the Stoic virtues of resilience, inner peace, and quiet strength that come from knowing and protecting the next steps. Our journey. In the spirit of Stoicism, let us cherish the present, holding our future plans gently but firmly within, letting them unfold in their own time, in harmony with the process, nature of the world. Because in the end, it is not the discussion of our plans that defines us, but the quiet, determined steps we take to realize them. Principle number 7. Don't talk about your doubts and uncertainties. In pursuit of wisdom, a Stoic sage once walked the earth, demonstrating virtue in silence and actions rather than words. It is from their footsteps that we, as modern seekers of Stoicism in America, can draw lessons on how to navigate our lives with grace and courage. Today, let us reflect on one of the profound yet challenging aspects of Stoicism: the virtue of keeping our doubts and uncertainties private. In the vast tapestry of human experience, doubts and uncertainties are as inevitable as the changing of the seasons. They are shadows cast by the light of our desire, a natural consequence of our engagement with the world. However, Stoicism teaches us that articulating these doubts, especially when done without purpose, can often lead to a lessening of resolve and a weakening of character. Marcus Aurelius advised in his Meditations that we should focus our discussion on actions rather than words. He argued that the true measure of a person lies not in their ability to articulate uncertainties, but in their ability to act in spite of them. For in action, we confront our doubts, test their veracity, and more often than not, discover the possibility of overcoming them. Furthermore, discussing our doubts and uncertainties, especially in the absence of discernment, can sow unease and insecurity, like throwing a stone into the still waters of our collective peace of mind. The Stoics believed in maintaining harmony between self and community. By suppressing our anxiety, we not only protect our inner peace, but also that of those around us. This does not mean that Stoicism advocates a life of silent suffering or isolation from the support of friends and family. Indeed, Seneca, another luminary of Stoicism, acknowledged the value of friendship and the exchange of advice. However, he also advises that we should only share our difficulties when doing so can find a solution, instead of just unloading the burden on our souls for relief. It is a call to intentional sharing, where the act of discussing our uncertainties is purposeful and growth-oriented. To embody Stoicism is to understand that our human nature is not defined by the uncertainties we face, but by how we navigate them. It teaches us that silence, when chosen wisely, is not a sign of ignorance or indifference, but of strength and self-awareness. In a quiet mind, free from the chaos of expressed doubts, we find the clarity to act with virtue and wisdom. Principle number 8. Don't talk about others. At its core, Stoicism teaches us about the art of living a good life, guiding us toward virtues and away from the pitfalls of negative emotions and judgments. A profound lesson from this ancient philosophy is the importance of focusing on our own actions and thoughts, rather than on what others are doing or saying. You may wonder why we shouldn't talk about other people. Well, imagine for a moment that you're sitting on your sunny, peaceful porch, watching the day unfold. When we talk about others, especially in a negative light, it is like inviting a storm cloud to block out the sun, casting a shadow over our peaceful day. Stoicism encourages us to keep the skies blue, focusing on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. Talking about others can often lead us down a path of judgment and resentment, emotions that the Stoics advise us to avoid. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, 'The people I come into contact with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and irritable, cranky.' Discourages negativity, but reminds us to focus on our own reactions and behavior when faced with these challenges, not on the actions of others. Now, let's ask ourselves a question. Do we often feel better after speaking negatively about others? Does it enrich our lives, or does it take away from our own peace and happiness? The answer, friends, is quite clear in the teachings of Stoicism. It's distracting. It takes away our inner peace and the beauty of today. But you might ask, what about when the other person is actually at fault? Stoicism teaches us forgiveness and understanding, recognizing that everyone is fighting their own battle, a battle we may know nothing about. By refraining from talking about others, we cultivate compassion and empathy, virtues that enrich not only our lives, but the lives of those around us. Imagine for a moment that your life is a garden. Every time you choose not to speak ill of others, it is like you are growing a flower, adding beauty and serenity to your space. Over time, with care and attention, your garden will become a peaceful place that reflects the peace of your soul. So as we move forward in our days, take this Stoic lesson with us. Focus on your own path. Cultivate your garden with kindness and understanding, and let other people's actions be like leaves swept away by the current, not ours to hold or judge. Principle number 9. Don't talk about your moments of solitude. Have you ever found yourself in moments of loneliness where the world fades away, leaving only you and your thoughts? It is in these precious moments that Stoicism teaches us that we find refuge within ourselves, a bastion of peace and clarity amid the storms of life. But here's a gentle yet profound piece of advice. Don't talk about your lonely moments. You may ask why such valuable experiences are left unspoken. Let's journey together through the wisdom of the Stoics, with stories that breathe life into this philosophy, making it as vivid and understandable as the stories of our own lives. Imagine a wise old tree in a vast and rich forest. This tree has stood the test of time, seasons and storms, holding within its circle the solitude of centuries. It doesn't brag about its resilience to passing tourists, nor whisper about the tranquility it embraces as the snow falls gently. Like a tree, Stoicism teaches us the value of absorbing experiences, letting them nourish our growth from within, silently and powerfully. Why? Because, my dear friend, in solitude, we come face to face with who we really are. We face our fears, aspirations, and challenges without masks during the day. These moments are our most honest, raw, and real. They are ours and ours alone. By not discussing these moments, we do not build walls, but retain the sacredness of our inner journey. We're saying, "This is my sacred space, where I grew up, undisturbed, rooted in peace." In our lives, too, we have such pictures, moments in which we are the artists of our destiny, drawing our path with the inner calm that solitude brings. And like the artist, we know that some conversations, some transformations, are for living, not for talking. Now I ask you, dear friends, to reflect on your moments of solitude. Haven't they been the silent architects of your resilience, your peace, and your understanding? In the stillness, haven't you discovered strength you didn't know you possessed? Clarity amid confusion, light in the darkness. As Stoics, we embrace these wordless journeys, for in the silence of solitude, we find wisdom, strength, and a steady light to guide us through the complications of life. Let us cherish these moments, protect them like precious gems, and let them shape us silently, deeply, and resiliently. Principle number 10. Don't talk about unlearned lessons. In the stillness of the mind and the constant chaos of life lies a profound but often overlooked wisdom, a guiding light from the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. Today, let us delve into a simple principle that has the power to transform the nature of our daily lives: the virtue of silence regarding our unlearned lessons. For a moment, the vastness of human knowledge and experience, a boundless sea in which we all navigate our tiny ships. Every day brings with it waves of challenges and winds of opportunity. Some we conquer, and some that set us adrift. It is in these moments of struggle and insecurity that our character is both tested and forged. Stoicism, a philosophy born at the heart of ancient Greece and later refined in the Roman soul, teaches us not only to endure these trials, but to welcome them as opportunities to develop and improve ourselves. However, there is one particular habit that we, as humans, often fall into: the desire to show off our battles with these unlearned lessons. Whether it's a skill we haven't mastered, a personal weakness we're trying to overcome, or a piece of knowledge that's beyond our grasp, there's almost a driving force. The instinct is to share these shortcomings with others. But why? Is it looking for sympathy, advice, or simply the need to fill the silence that accompanies us? Stoicism offers another path, one less trodden, but imbued with dignity and resilience. Stoic philosophers, from the wise Zeno of Citium to the noble Marcus Aurelius, advocated the ideas of introspection and self-reliance. They argue not for a life of isolation, but for a deep understanding of themselves. Talking about unlearned lessons before they are truly understood and applied to our lives is like sharing an unfinished story. It lacks depth and resolution, and most importantly, personal transformation occurs in the silent struggle of learning. This silence comes not from shame or pride, but from recognition of the sacred personal journey that learning entails. It is in quiet moments of reflection, away from the prying ears of the world, that real growth happens. By looking inward and facing unlearned lessons, we engage in a dialogue with our deepest selves. This dialogue, although silent, is where wisdom is born. Furthermore, the Stoic practice of keeping stories of unlearned lessons hidden serves another purpose. It helps us lighten the burden on others. Stoicism teaches us to bear our burdens gracefully and to help others with theirs when we can. By not talking about our unlearned lessons, we preserve the peace in our communities, offering words of encouragement and wisdom when they truly count, and not merely as a means to unburden oneself. Principle number 11. Don't talk about your deepest plans. Okay, let's dive into a concept that might seem a bit counterintuitive at first, but stick with me. It's a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and can have a profound impact on how we navigate the tapestry life. Today, we decode the idea, don't talk about your deepest plans. Now, you might be wondering, why not? Isn't it good to share, seek advice, or simply let others know what we're working towards? Well, let's explore this together in the spirit of Stoicism and see if we can find some wisdom in this perspective. Imagine you are sitting on your porch. The yellow of the sunset adorns the sky. A gentle breeze is in the air, and you are surrounded by a sense of peace that makes you want to reflect on life. It is in moments like these that our deepest plans and ambitions often come to mind. Stoicism, a philosophy that has stood the test of time, dating back to ancient Greece and Rome, invites us to consider a different approach when it comes to our deepest visions, our future. The Stoics teach us the value of focusing on the present and on what we can control right here and now. When we talk about our deepest plans, we are focusing on the future, a realm rife with uncertainty. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have plans or ambitions. Rather, it suggests a certain caution in sharing them. But why? Why keep cards close to our chest, especially from people we trust or seek support from? The answer lies in understanding two key factors: the nature of control and the power of quiet progress. First, control. Stoicism draws a clear line between what is within our control and what is not. Our actions, our efforts, our attitudes. It is ours to command. But the results, future, those things are beyond our direct control, influenced by countless factors and external forces. By not discussing our deepest plans, we protect ourselves from outside pressures, expectations, and maybe even the jealousy or discouragement of others. It's about maintaining inner peace and focusing your energy on action rather than discussion. Second, there is something incredibly powerful about quiet progress. There is a special kind of power in working quietly toward our goals, letting our actions speak for themselves. It builds resilience, character, and a deep sense of self-reliance. Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius were not just philosophers, they were practitioners of life. They know that the most profound achievements are often those forged in silence through our own will and effort, not in the noisy space of public declaration. Lest we forget, Stoicism does not advocate isolation or secrecy for its own sake. It's about discernment, knowing when to share and when to hold back for your own growth and inner peace. As we come to the end of our journey through the profound silence of Stoicism, I invite you to reflect with me. How many times have we found ourselves entangled in our own web of words, lost in the echo of unfinished plans, dreams shared too soon, or deeds more discussed than realized? Presently, Stoicism teaches us the power of reserve, the strength found in the silent pursuit of virtue, and the wisdom in protecting the sanctity of our deepest thoughts and plans. As Americans in a world that often celebrates noise and immediacy, following these Stoic principles invites us to a deeper, more meaningful connection with ourselves and our path. Let us move forward with the determination to express our highest ideals, not only in words but also in the quiet eloquence of actions. In this silence, in the sacred space of unspoken dreams and plans, we find our true selves. And when we find our true self, we tap into the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, a wisdom that whispers across the ages. In stillness, there is power. In reserve, there is power.